Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 15th episode of Healthcare Insights, powered by RedMed, LBN Tech Solutions and All Ladies League Digital Transformation Chapter. Today's topic is sugar, a clear and present danger. And I'm very happy to welcome Dr. Bhujang Shetty, Founder, Chairman, and Managing Director, Narayana Nethralaya Eye Hospital from Bangalore. We are so honored to have you, sir, in our midst. And may I request Veera from LBN to play the slideshow about our expert speaker, Dr. Bhujang Shetty. Thank you so much, Veera. That was a very impressive intro, Doctor, and we are all eagerly waiting for you. I think I'll hand over the floor to you. Over to you, Doctor. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for that wonderful introduction, ma'am. So nice of you. And as you rightly mentioned, today's talk is about the dangers of sugar, and you rightly labeled it clear and present danger. I'll just share my slides with you. All right. Well, I just want to start with saying that we all think and we are all told by doctors and others that once you're diagnosed a diabetic, it's a one-way street. You can't reverse it. The best you can do is keep it under control. And the sad part is that it is downhill slope. It gets from bad to worse. You start with one tablet, then it becomes 2, 3, 4, and then maximum medical therapy and still not under control. You're following doctor's advice, but still you go on from tablets to injections. And then ultimately your eyes, your heart, your kidneys, your feet, everything its effect. It's a very sad story, a very, very sad story. But recent science has shown that diabetic reversal is a reality. Today, I've come to tell you about that. And it's a scientific reality, not just the diet that I am talking or the lifestyle that I'm talking will reverse or diabetes, but there are 3 scientifically proven ways. One is that bariatric surgery you must have heard of. Next is a very low calorie diet. We actually need around 2000 calories per day, but if you can reduce that to about 1000 calories, it's been shown that diabetes can be reversed. But sustaining that, a very low calorie diet and being hungry all the time, is a difficult proposition. And the third, and I think the best sustainable way, is what is called low carbohydrate, healthy fat or high fat diet. And for this, the most important thing, as we have mentioned, is we need to know about sugars. We all think that sugar is okay, sugar is harmless, sugar is not dangerous, it is innocent, it's innocuous, it's everywhere, and we enjoy it so much, children love it. It's okay, we take sugar casually, just like any other nutrient. But unfortunately, I just want to tell you all that sugar is not okay. Sugar is not harmless, and sugar is not innocent. Sugar is toxic, sugar is dangerous, and sugar is nothing but sweet poison. This is what I want to stress on. And definitely, as the title Madam has given, it is clear and present danger, sugar. So this is what I want to basically drive home. All right. Now, these are all what called modern metabolic diseases that you're seeing here. Hormonal imbalance, thyroid, depression, anxiety, heart disease, high blood pressure and allergies, cancers, infertility, name it. And all these are modern diseases actually. And the most important factor in this disease is that intake of excess of sugars. Of course, there are other factors also involved, but sugar is the root of all evil. The main part. Of course, stress, lack of sleep, lack of exercise, all these do play a role, but I feel sugar plays a very, very big role, and we don't realize it. And we go to different doctors. Hormonal problem, you go to one doctor. High BP, you go to a physician, heart specialist, and diabetes, you go to diabetologist. And they all sadly treat it as different diseases and give different tablets. So much so that, you have more tablets than your food every day. That's exactly what I was having till 2 years back. So today I've come to tell you how easy it is to just simply reverse all these diseases by some diet modifications, especially the intake of sugars. Well, just going back to history, somewhere in 1700 to about 1800 or till around 1900, where they really started, the agriculture, sugar cane, and all the sugars came up, and just look at how the consumption of sugar shot up. Till about around 2000 itself, we were consuming about almost 50 to 60 kgs of sugar per person per year. And with this increase in sugar consumption, see the other graph, which shows how the obesity graph has grown. It has grown just like how the sugar graph has grown. People became obese and they became sick. And we all know that obesity is a root cause, and we say, those people who are obese have all problems like diabetes, hypertension, and heart problems. Everything is related. We know it is related to obesity. Any obese person is definitely not well, is ill. We know that. And see how that correlates with the consumption of the sugar that has gone up with us. And that was maybe from 100 years. But unfortunately, something else happened 50, 60 years back. See, on your left side is what is called the official food pyramid. Maybe around 50 years back, as I shown that people were getting fatter and fatter and sicker, and a lot of people were dying of heart attacks. Then suddenly in the West, in America, they started to find, what is the cause? And unfortunately, based on, poor science, they came up with the idea that fat causes fat. Of course, it sounds very rational, and we know it's common sense. You think you eat more fat, you become fat. But body does not work like that. That's unfortunately, but that was, pushed upon the whole world. And they said, you reduce your fat, low fat, no fat, and the whole world was brainwashed to reduce their fats. Automatically, when you reduce one thing, you take up something else. So when the fats were reduced, and that is the time when industries just started, food industry starts coming up. So they had to do something. So they got sugar, although they knew sugar was not great, but they got sugar to the back door, because without fat, there was no flavor, there was no taste. So now they had to add sugar to everything, so that people ate their food and they could sell more. So actually, the official food pyramid, even as of today, says you should have 50% of your calories must come from sugars and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates means sugars, we all know, sweets and sugars, but carbohydrates means grains. Grains means rice, wheat, your ragi, millet, whatever, all this chola, all those things are, and basically, although they said 50%, but we as Indians, even if you're a non-vegetarian, because we eat so much of these grains from morning to night, our average person takes around 60% to 70% of grains in his meal. And a vegetarian takes even more than that, because there's no meat. Meat has no carbohydrates. So he eats even more grains. And no wonder India has become the diabetic capital of the world. And the average age for heart attacks in India is 45 years, whereas in the West, it is 65 years. So what we are saying now, the latest science has said, we need to turn this food pyramid on its head. Yes, we need to get rid of what's called the fat phobia. And it is not the fat, but it is the carbs and the sugars that they said you should eat more, which has caused all the problem. So as Madam has rightly put it in her invitation, it says they blame the butter for what the bread did. They blame the salt for what the sugar did. That was the problem. So we need to unlearn things. So that's why people say, oh, what doctor? The other day, everybody says, don't eat fat. Today, you are saying eat fat. We are confused. That is the problem. People are confused. So they think, everything is a fat diet and they come and go. But I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that we have been following this food pyramid quite religiously. Because if I ask anybody to eat an egg or eat excess of fat like butter and ghee, they'll say, oh my God, I've got cholesterol, I've got heart issues. Oh, how can I eat this? That means we have developed the fat phobia. We need to get out of that. Well, it took millions of years for human beings to go from left to right. But unfortunately, within the last 50 years, because of junk and processed foods and sugars, we have landed in this. What we gained over millions of years, we lost it in the last 50 years. That's the sad part. Well, as I told you, when the official said you should reduce the fat in your diet, the industry rightly went ahead, but they got sugar to the back door. So much so that today sugar has officially more than 56 different names, and even a doctor or a nutritionist, anybody reads a label can never know where the sugar is hiding. That's why they bring the sugar from the back door. And no wonder the world got sicker and sicker by the day. And sugar is everywhere. Every time I talk anywhere about sugar, people, the first question they ask what about jaggery? What about brown sugar? What about honey? The truth is that all sugars are empty calories and it is killing us slowly. That is the bitter truth about sugars in any form. Well, there you are. It's not only these natural sugars. Sugar is hidden everywhere, especially in processed foods, in junk food, it is there. No wonder children get addicted to this, and we just can't escape from sugar. And now the problem is the official recommended amount of sugar per day per person is around 6 spoons of added sugar, but we take around 24 to 26 teaspoons of sugar, added sugar every day. That amounts to more than 40 kilos of sugar per person per year. Can you imagine? I'm only talking about the added sugar, the white sugar. But we all think sugar, only what tastes sweet is sugar. But you look in this chart, a bowl of basmati white rice has more than 10 teaspoons of sugar. Potato, 150 grams of potato has 9 teaspoons of sugar. That's why it's called starchy vegetables. So these are the things we need to avoid, and take, vegetables and nutrients that are very, very low in sugar. Because I don't know how many of you all know, the total amount of sugar in a person's 5 liters of blood is just 1 teaspoon of sugar. That's all. The blood cannot accommodate more than 1 teaspoon of sugar. If that rises from 1 to 1.5, you are declared a diabetic. And here we are pushing in 10, 20 times more than that, morning, noon, and night. No wonder it has broken down. This is the amount of sugar that we're eating, too much in excess. No wonder the whole world is getting sicker and sicker, because sugar intake in the last 4 decades has gone up by 400%. So as the disease of diabetes and heart attacks have all gone up, with best of medication, best of doctors, and whatever you have, the world is getting sicker and sicker. I think we as doctors need to introspect. Well, the first sign that you're getting metabolically ill is a pot belly, or you start putting on weight. And then I would call this actually the first stage of diabetes. First stage of diabetes. If you have a pot belly, better be careful. You are already in the first stage of diabetes. And the fat outside, especially if you have a pot belly, that means you have fat inside as well. That is called visceral fat. Fat around the heart, your liver, your pancreas, all your organs. And it's the inner fat that kills. So, but 80% of the people who are overweight and obese have got the inner fat or visceral fat. There's no doubt about it. But just because you're normal weight or even underweight does not mean that you're metabolically well. Even 40% of the people who are normal weight or underweight could have what is called visceral fat, again, the killer fat, the fat around their organs. So it is the inner fat that kills. That's a term called the thin fat Indian. That means on the outside, he's thin, but on the inside is fat. A factor called TOFI, thin on the outside, but fat on the inside. That's why you see some people who are fit as a fiddle. They have 6 packs and they do exercise regularly, but suddenly they drop dead on the stage sometimes. We have seen it all. So just because you're fit physically, you do regular exercise, that does not mean you could be metabolically healthy, because you could still have what is called visceral fat. That's why you need to be aware of these things. Well, I just want to tell you what all sugar does. Starting from top, let's say your brain. I don't know, every single disease, 30% of the strokes that we suffer from are directly or indirectly related to diabetes or sugar. 30% of strokes. The brain, although there is sugar everywhere, but because of insulin resistance, the brain is starved of energy and it starts shrinking. No, that's why we develop mental fog, we developed Parkinsonism and Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is becoming a household name now. I don't know how many of you all are aware that in America, every other person above the age of 85 is an Alzheimer patient. And Alzheimer's, I don't know if you're aware, is a more dreaded disease than even cancer. People don't mind having cancer, but they do not want to have Alzheimer's because you just don't recognize your own people, your near and dear ones. And today, Alzheimer is called, some people have named it type 3 diabetes. So it is directly related to what we eat. So it affects every single organ. The excess of sugar that we are taking, that affects every single organ in the body. They say, like water, water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. There is sugar, sugar everywhere, but not a grain for the organs to eat. That's the sad story. Well, coming to my field, in the eyes, you know, one of the commonest causes for blindness in the United States is diabetes. With all their, awareness, the equipment, the doctors, the hospitals, and the treatment, still it is one of the commonest leading causes of blindness, diabetes, with best of treatment. That's a very sad story, how it affects the eyes. Of course, you get early cataract, you get rapid cataract. Cataract develops much earlier in people who have diabetes, and also glaucoma. So that's how it affects the eyes. Then coming to the heart. Heart is the disease that kills the most. More than 16 to 17 million people die of heart attack every year. And 40% of the causes because of diabetes, because of excess of sugar. So sugar literally has effect on every single organ in the body, including heart. And then there your dialysis. People want to have more and more hospitals, more and more diabetic dialysis center. 50%, let me tell you, friends, of people who go on dialysis are because of diabetes and excess of sugars. So what I'm trying to say is that if we can reduce this amount of sugar and modify our diet, all this can be simply prevented. We don't have to struggle with all these diseases. And then we only think of heart, kidney, and eyes, but sugar is directly or indirectly responsible for cancers. I don't know how many of you all know cancer cells, they multiply 100 to 200 times faster than normal cells. And they have a sweet tooth. They live on sugars. They love sugars. So if you can reduce your sugar or don't take sugar at all, you could starve them. They will not multiply at that speed. They will not spread. That's how now there's a lot of research being done to see how much. I'm not saying tomorrow it could be the primary treatment. Today, at least, you take your regular treatment. As far as your diet is concerned, you must reduce the sugar intake to kill the cancer, to starve the cancer, as it were. Well, we have just come out of what is called COVID. Not really come out. I don't know if you're still out of the woods. But then everybody was talking about immunity, immunity, immunity. Who are the people who got sick and admitted and into ICUs and ventilators and who even passed away? Everybody said they are the people with the comorbidities. What are the comorbidities? They are all the diseases that I just mentioned earlier. They are directly or indirectly related to the excess of sugar. And now it has been scientifically proven that if even a normal person, need not be a diabetic, or even a normal person is given a bolus of sugar, his white blood cell activity will come down for the next 6 hours. So that means excess of sugar intake reduces your immunity drastically. So during COVID time, I used to hear, okay, now you have to improve your immunity, take this tablet, take that herb, drink this, drink that. I was trying to tell people, forget about increasing your immunity. Please, for God's sake, don't decrease your immunity by taking sugar and sweets. If you can do that, at least your immunity will not come down. That's how sugar plays with immunity. Next, I would like to tell the most important thing of today's talk will be how it affects children. Children love sugar, and we love to please our children. So whenever, now there's so much of advertisement and, it comes in such attractive packages, children just can't get, enough of sugars. And we as parents think it's okay. As I said, it's harmless. Let's give it. They're enjoying it. No, children are being addicted to sugar today. Children, every 1 in 10 child has got what's called fatty, non-alcoholic fatty liver, which was never seen in children 30, 40 years back. When I was studying my medicine, that anybody had this cirrhosis or fatty liver, it was known that he's an alcoholic. And we used to tell him, if you don't stop alcohol, you'll die, because that time they hardly had any liver transplant. Today, the maximum number of transplants, liver transplants are done not for alcoholic fatty liver, but for non-alcoholic fatty liver. And we are seeing this in children today. Children are becoming fatter. Every fourth child is become overweight or obese. You have, you're seeing diabetes amongst teens. We are seeing heart attacks in 20s. That's what the other day one heart surgeon was telling me. About 3 decades ago, it was the 30-year-old son bringing the 60-year-old father for heart problems. Today, it's the 60-year-old father bringing the 30-year-old son for heart treatment. That's a sad state. All adult diseases are appearing in children, and we are simply blind to it. And we think that it's okay. Children need to be a little fat. They need to eat what they want. No. Sugar is as addicting as alcohol or tobacco or drugs. And once your child is addicted to that, you yourself can't take it away from them. So, because even we are addicted to sugar itself. So do not keep these things in your house within the reach of children, and in the fridge, colas and candies and cakes and this thing, because every other day there's a birthday or something going on. Apart from that, if you're going to have regular every snack, some sweet. And don't forget, sugar comes in all forms. All bakery products, biscuits and cakes, they're filled with sugars. So don't think biscuit is okay. But the excess of these things, especially in children, we are feeding our children to death. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Please keep the sugars away from children as far as possible. I'm not saying that cut it out completely. It may not be possible, but be aware that every time a child keeps eating more and more, they are likely to get fatty liver. They are likely to get diabetes much, much, much earlier than we have. Well, this is what I'm trying to tell you, that sugar is the new tobacco. You all might remember, last generation, we waged a war against tobacco. We knew 50, 60 years back itself, tobacco causes cancer, but it took more than a generation, more than 30, 40 years and more than 7,000 peer-reviewed scientific papers and deaths of millions of smokers before the authorities could recognize that tobacco causes cancer. Today, sugar is the new cancer. Now we need to wage a war against sugar. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I feel it is worse than tobacco, because tobacco maybe only causes lung and heart diseases. Sugar causes this plus hundreds of other diseases. So do not take sugar lightly. Don't think sugar is okay. And now we love to feed people. That's what I keep telling my wife, never love anyone through the stomach, especially during these festival days. Even otherwise, there's always something to celebrate, and everything and anything is celebrated with sweets. That's our culture. I think we need to come out of that. Well, what I'm trying to say is, if you want to stay healthy, if you want to prevent all these dreadful diseases, you need to get sugar out of your life. Get away from sugar and don't take it lightly. As I said, we have eaten 400% more sugar than what is recommended. That means every person, any person who's listening to this talk, who's above the age of 20 years, has eaten the quota of sugar for 80 years. That means your quota is over. I think we have eaten enough and we have to simply get rid of it. So what I'm trying to tell you today, I'm throwing a challenge, a 30-day no sugar challenge. Just don't have sugar for the next 30 days and see what a miracle will take place in your life. Everything can be measured. Your waist can be measured, your weight can be measured. You can measure your BP, you can measure your diabetes at home itself. And you could even measure your cholesterol levels. What happens within 4 weeks if you just give up sugar? Just the triglycerides, which are called bad cholesterol, will drastically come down within 4 weeks. And we always think, that these blood lipids or cholesterol is caused by the fat that we eat. No, the biggest driver of these bad lipids are sugars and carbohydrates and grains. So just stop, just sugar at least, and see what happens to them within 4 weeks. So take up this challenge and you'll see the results yourself. So for the youngsters, I want to say, if you want to get rid of pimples, stay away from sugar, starting from pimples to migraine to infertility, you name it, and sugar is blamed. If you want to get rid of your wrinkles, keep away from sugars, because sugar causes premature aging. That has been scientifically proven. Well, to end the talk on sugar, I must say that it is a sweet, slow poison, period. There is nothing about it. It is not essential for life. We can always manage without it. The only thing is we are addicted to it. That's why we take so much of sugar. And that's why the whole world is becoming sicker and sicker, fatter and fatter by the day. Well, that's about sugars. Because I was so keen on that, I told Sandhya madam that let's name it, sugar first, and let's nail the devil, the villain first. Well, now coming to diabetes as such, any disease that we get, especially diabetes, and myself included, we always blame our parents. We'll say, well, I got diabetes. No, sir, my father had, my mother also had, maybe I got it. No, genes, they say, only load the gun. It is our lifestyle that pulls the trigger. That has been proved. If you have some identical twin with same, genetic setup, and they separated after birth or childhood, one went to the West, had a Western type of lifestyle, the other stayed back in the village and did all the hard work and exercise and ate natural food. And if they meet after 30 years, they'll be totally two different people with two different problems, multiple problems. So don't blame your genes. It's a lifestyle that is even above genes. So now the correct type of lifestyle, if you have, it can turn genes on and off. What's called epigenetics, something above genes. That's a new thing that's coming up now, how genes can be manipulated. So don't blame your parents. What I'm also now trying to tell you is that we always keep checking our blood sugars and saying, no, mine is only 100, 110, doctor's happy, you're not a diabetic. I'm sorry to say that by the time you're diagnosed through the blood as a diabetic, it's like diagnosing cancer in the 4th stage. 5, 10, 15 years earlier itself, you have become intolerant to sugars, but the body has compensated to see that your blood sugar does not go up. It starts increasing insulin production. So you have hyperinsulinemia for 4 or 5 years. Then you develop what's called, because of constant rise of insulin resistance for the next 4 or 5 years. So somehow the body is struggling to keep the blood sugar down. And if you check the blood sugar and blood sugar is normal, that does not mean you're not a diabetic or a pre-diabetic. So instead of testing actually blood sugars, if you could test fasting insulin, maybe you could have detected this 5, 10, 15 years earlier and prevented that. This is what's the thing. So now, one thing about how we all think fat causes fat. That's not the story actually. The story is that the body's energy storage mechanism is only by fat. So whatever you eat in excess, including fat, if you eat in excess, it will be stored as fat. If you eat excess of carbohydrates and sugars, it will be converted to fat and stored. If you eat excess of proteins, it will be converted and stored as fat, because 90% of the body's energy is stored as fat. So don't think that if you're fat, that's because you've eaten more fat and you start eating grains, but still you'll become fatter and fatter. You might say, sir, I don't eat fat at all. And we have been all brainwashed not to eat so much fat, but still, how is that the whole world is becoming? There are more fat and sick people in the world than there are malnutrition and thin people as of today. So this is what I'm trying to tell is, see, carbohydrate, because constantly we eat, it's like the small tank this truck uses for itself. So it can run maybe a few 100 kilometers, then that empties, then it needs to refuel again. Although it is carrying so much of fat, somehow it's not able to get access to this fat energy. That's why actually our body is a hybrid. We can use fat for burning or sugar. But as long as we keep on eating carbohydrates and sugar, fat will keep on being stored and you become fatter and fatter. Once you reduce your sugar and your carbohydrate intake, Then your body learns to burn fat. That's how you eat fat and lose fat. This is the mechanism the body resorts to. Well, so what is the causes for the current crisis of diabetes is that increased intake of grains, sugar and grains. Sugar is, sweet, and grains is indirect sugar. It goes into the body. Although, when you get diabetes, doctors do tell you don't eat sugar, but they tell you do not say much about grains, that is rice, wheat, chapati. They may say instead of eating white rice, eat brown rice or chapati. No, both of them go into your blood as glucose, and you're not able to tolerate. That's why you become more and more sick. You need more and more tablets. So because of excess of carbohydrates, you develop carbohydrate intolerance. That leads to insulin resistance. And here must be made very clear, fat is not the culprit, it is sugar the culprit. So what is the solution? As I told you earlier, that a low carbohydrate, because you're not able to manage or digest or metabolize sugar and carbohydrates, you have to keep it low. And a healthy fat, because the body can also run on fat as it can run. It's a hybrid machine, like a hybrid car. Because you're not able to tolerate carbohydrates, it's like the basin is overflowing and you're constantly mopping the floor. Even a child will tell you, just why don't you shut the tap instead of constantly mopping the floor. But nobody is ready to shut the tap. That's the unfortunate thing. And it's not being very strongly advised also. Another thing that we can all follow is, you must have heard, the intermittent fasting. Fasting is an age-old ritual which you all follow in every religion. And fasting is a fantastic way to get healthy, actually. Intermittent fasting is simple and easy. And of course, exercise is important, but you can never outrun a bad diet. That's one thing must be made very clear. If your diet is bad, nothing can help. That's why they say when the diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When the diet is right, medicine is of no need. That's how important your diet is. Also, reducing stress and getting enough of sleep. They're all important, but the low-hanging fruit is sugar and carbohydrates. If you can reduce that, get rid of sugar from your life, it'll definitely help. So regarding sugars, I've already told about why you should avoid it. Then, as I said, all the grains, rice, wheat, bread, starchy vegetables, they all have excess of sugars in them, hidden sugars. After it's digested, it goes into the body as glucose, and you're intolerant to glucose. So although you're taking tablets, you become bad to worse. Another thing that that people say is fruit and fruit juice. Fruit, if you are hale and healthy, you can have a fruit or so in a day, but definitely not if you're trying to reverse your diabetes, because the fruit now that it's actually manipulated or hybridized so that it's big in size, and then sweetness has increased 2 to 3 times in the last 30, 40 years. But worst is fruit juices. The thumb rule is never ever drink your fruit. What happens then is that when you eat a fruit, but when you drink 3 to 4 of them at one go. And the worst part is the good part of the fruit, that is the fiber, you throw it in the garbage. And what you're drinking is sweet syrup, sugar syrup. Unfortunate. We all think a glass of orange juice in the morning is a very good breakfast. And we take it and we give it to our children. Actually, to tell you the truth, it is as bad as having a glass of alcohol in the morning, because fruit has a lot of fructose, like sugar, which has 50% fructose, and it can only be handled by the liver. And excess of this fructose is caused fatty liver in children and in adults. So please avoid drinking your fruit. Processed foods, as I told you, all these processed foods is another cause for why the world is getting sick, because it has all the bad ingredients. It has got refined carbs, it's got refined sugars, it's got refined oils. And coming to refined oils, the seed oils, especially the sunflower oil and safflower oil, the refined oil that comes in bottle, highly toxic to the body. Instead of that, better to go in for natural cold pressed oils like your coconut oil or cold pressed groundnut oil, or butter or ghee, better still. And breakfast cereals, we all think and oats and breakfast cereals are very healthy. And again, we have that. Definitely that's causing a lot of problem, because that has too much of sugar. Well, what can you have, you may say? Then the best is that non-starchy vegetables. Eat a lot of them. Vegetarians and non-vegetarians both can eat. And don't just eat When I say non-starchy, avoid below ground, at least potatoes, too starchy there. Above ground vegetables, plenty you can have. And some below ground, apart from potatoes, you can have. But don't have them just raw, boiled. You stir fry it, use good amount of fat. That's why I said big fat bowl of vegetables. So we have to get out of this fat phobia or fat fear and eat more fat, because we have given up carbohydrates and we are now giving the body good fats so that body can run on fats. So your sugars are not going to, because sugar will not go up. There's no sugar in, not much carbohydrate in these vegetables. Meat, fish, and eggs for non-vegetarians, excellent, because they have zero carbs. There are no carbohydrates there. You can eat plenty of them. My breakfast consists of a big fat bowl of stir-fried vegetables and 3 eggs with the yellow. Absolutely no harm. As I say this, people say, no, doctor, I've got high cholesterol. Cholesterol comes not from fat, as I told you, it comes from sugars and carbohydrates. After taking 3 times more fat than what I was taking before, my triglycerides have come down by 2/3. Unbelievable. That's how it is. So have natural fats like butter and ghee. I told you, have cold pressed oils, olive oil, coconut oil. And if you want to snack, have nuts, but not dry fruits. Dry fruits are sugar bombs. There's a lot of sugar in that, but nuts have very little sugar. They have healthy fats, they have proteins, they have vitamins. They are very healthy. If you must have a few berries, very low in sugars. And avocado is a miracle fruit. It's called a butter fruit. Any amount you can have. And I have minimum 1 or 2 every day in the form of salad or something. Fantastic fruit. Initially people used to say apple a day keeps the doctor away. I personally feel an avocado a day keeps the doctor away. So have as natural, as organic as possible, all these foods. Well, that's what I was trying to tell you. Now, even the American US government has made a U-turn regarding these cholesterol and saturated fats. They said there are no more nutrition to worry about. There is no more a dirty word. You can have any amount of them. And it's not a nutrient of concern. They are not directly related to heart attacks. This is what the recent studies have shown. Just look 100 years back, before the discovery of insulin and these tablets for treatment of diabetes, how doctors used to treat diabetes. Exactly the things that we have been discussing about. Exactly. They have said food strictly forbidden. First one is sugar. This is from a textbook in 1917, a textbook of 1917, before the discovery of insulin. And once we doctors got injections and insulin and tablets on hand, we started medicating more and educating less. That is the sad part. Today, actually, I feel for all these modern diseases, food must be the primary form of treatment. Well, but you may say, how do I get my rice, dosa, and idli? We are used to so much chapati and all. They can all be made from non-grain sources. Cauliflower rice, broccoli rice, coconut flour, almond flour. All these can be got. They're available in the market. You can make it. You can go now you get all this information on YouTube, and so many other sources are there. You can make this. They are called low carbohydrate, flours. Grains are very high carbohydrate, and chapati and all these cause a lot of sugar hikes. So we must avoid them. Well, what happens when you remove sugar from your life and reduce carbohydrates, take only green carbs, that's only these vegetables. First and most important thing is your appetite comes down, your craving comes down. You don't want to eat so often. Otherwise, every meal and in between, there's a snack. And for a snack, invariably, we're eating more grains or sugary snacks. We give it to children, and we eat biscuits and bakery products. So this reduces it. So you need not eat so often. That's why they say eat once, you become a yogi, eat twice, you become a bogi, eat thrice, you become a rogi. And if you eat 4 times, it's going to hogi to the grave. That's why all our scriptures prescribed less the better. So there you are. Appetite decreases. So you don't have to force it onto yourself. I have only 2 meals. That's my breakfast and lunch. And for dinner at 6 o'clock, I have a big bowl of salad. That's all, early dinner. That's how it is. Before I used to have 3 main meals and 3, snacks in between. After I have converted, and this is what happened. So automatically your weight comes. Since you lose your appetite, this is from within. See, to force a person to eat less from outside it's not sustainable. But when you're not feeling hungry, why do you want to eat? So that's why we say that never eat by the clock. Oh, it's 1 o'clock, let's have lunch. It's 8 o'clock, dinner time. No, eat when hungry, stop when full, but never feel deprived. I'm not asking you to go half stomach or feel hungry also. Eat full of what is allowed. Eat till you're satisfied, till you're satiated. And your insulin need comes down, your blood pressure comes down, your fatty liver comes down, dental caries, cardiovascular, you name it, all the diseases, as I told you, they're related in one way or to other, same problem. And once you get at the root, all the diseases will simply collapse. Well, the trick as far as the diet is concerned is whether you're a vegetarian or non-vegetarian, have one big fat bowl of vegetables, stir-fried with oil, ghee, or with butter, whatever you want. It must be really fat. And eat that first, after that you have breakfast. Eat that first, after that you have dinner. Eat that first, after that you have lunch. There's hardly any space there. After you eat this, you feel full, you feel satiated. You can hardly eat anything more. So even if you're eating a little of the wrong, it's the portion that makes the poison, they say. So you will not be doing too much of a mistake. So just the key, the trick here is eat a big fat bowl of vegetables in the form of stir-fried vegetables or olive oil and salad and all that. Make it very tasty. And then eat your meal. Just see how much calories will come down, how you lose weight. Well, just think about 100, 120 years back what Thomas Edison said. He said the doctors of the future will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather will cure and prevent diseases with nutrition. And the time has come now. Because of our wrong nutrition, the whole world has become sick. And just get to the right nutrition and then you'll see what miracles will happen. So ladies and gentlemen, I have given you a lot of facts and figures, but then facts and figures don't change behavior. Stories do. So I'll take just another minute or so and let you know what happened to me and why I'm so passionate about this. Well, I'm 69 now. Here's my medical history. I've been a diabetic for over 25 years, overweight, fatty liver, cholesterol, heart problem, renal disease, bladder issues, and prostate. And so much so that I was on about 12 tablets per day. This was during the COVID. That was the time, a lot of time on hand. I started doing a lot of reading and research. Is there any other alternative way? Are we going wrong somewhere? Why am I going down this slippery slope, going from bad to worse? And then luckily, I came across this, what I explained as this low carb, healthy fat diet. And there I changed and see what has happened now. Just imagine, before I started this, I was almost 79 kgs, around 10 kgs or so I lost. Now I'm back to my high school weight. I'm back to my high school health, and I'm back to my high school feeling. That's what this has done. I'm quite a disciplined person. I do a lot of exercises, yoga, even before I used to do all that. But I just couldn't stop putting on that little weight. Forget about reducing. Every year on year, I was putting on some weight. And suddenly within 1 year, this 10 kgs simply disappeared. And all my parameters came down. Everything, including, look at the last line, it's called metabolic age. My chronological age, I said I'm 69 now. And then my metabolic age seems to be 64. That means you even age backwards when you give up, especially sugars and carbohydrates. This is what happened. Well, even my medical tests, like my weight, my HbA1c with the medicine, and now without medicine, is much better without medicine itself. I've given up. My bad cholesterol, I told you about my triglycerides, 330, and now see it's come back to 100 and odd. Just imagine, within 3 months, all this happened. My good cholesterol went up. My fatty liver came down. Prostate size came down. Even serum creatinine, that means my kidneys are healthier now. Just by changing the way I eat, all this happened. And today, if somebody discovers a medicine of this kind, which will give you this kind of result, he will be the richest man in the world. And not only that, the Nobel Prize people will come looking for him because he would have saved the sufferings and lives of millions of people. That's the impact. And it would be called a miracle medicine, miracle tablet. That's how powerful this, and you don't have to pay anything for this. You just need to change your lifestyle and the way you eat. Well, it's not only my case, this is my colleague, he's Dr. Major Narendra. He's head of one of our units. He was overweight, could see there, and he was a bad diabetic. He was on insulin injection. He had high blood pressures, and he was also as bad as I was. And then when I started doing this, when he saw the results in me, he asked me, "What are you doing, sir?" Then I told him, "This is what I'm doing." And then he got obsessed with it and he followed it, and just see how he is now. This is Dr. Narendra now, 30 kgs down, his blood pressure gone, his diabetes gone, his medicines gone. He's such a smiling and happy person. So much so that he's obsessed now. He's training people, teaching people how to change the diet and how to get back their health and how to get back their happiness. This is the miracle of miracle of nutrition. And I call also this as being low carb liposuction. Even if he had surgery, he couldn't have lost so much weight so easily. Well, not only that, after some of my talks went viral, then a lot of people started coming to the hospital and saying, "Sir, tell us how you did it, and let us also, we also want to get it." So far, in the last 8 months, we have more than 2,500 odd patients who have registered for this, and there you see 2 to 3 kgs weight loss per month, and 75 of them have completely gone off their insulin, and over 1,000 people have reduced their medication by half, and more than 380 people have completely gone off their medicine. Unheard of. So I keep telling, in my 40 years of practice, ophthalmic practice, it has given me a lot of wealth, name, and fame. But this has given me more satisfaction, getting people back their health and giving them hope and empowering them to live a happy life. This is what's been happening in our place. I'm so happy about it that any opportunity I get, I keep talking about it. Well, what I'm trying to tell you is that because the majority is doing it, that doesn't make it right. It needs nothing to go along with the crowd, but it needs courage to stand alone. So don't be afraid to walk the path less traveled. You need to don't take whatever I said on face value. You could do your own research. Now knowledge is there, information is there at a click of a button. You read, if convinced, you follow it just for 4 weeks, and you can see the results. As I told you, you can measure them all at home itself. And if you get the results, spread the good word. If not, throw it out of the window. But only problem is those who are diabetics and who are hypertensives on tablet. Food is such a powerful medicine. It is more powerful than even insulin. Once you cut off sugar and your indirect sugars like grains in your diet, your blood sugar will start dropping so fast that if you don't cut down your medicine, you may get into what is called hypoglycemia, or low sugars, which is even more dangerous than high sugars. You may even collapse. So there you require doctor's help. For nothing else other than that, you really don't need a doctor for this. But to reduce your tablets and injections, you require doctor's help so that you don't get into that state of hypoglycemia or reduced blood sugar. That's the only role it has got. So I must say that, we all have to choose between two pains. One is the pain of discipline, or you have to face the pain of regret. That means short-term gain for long-term pain, or short-term pain for long-term gain. Of course, you need to do some exercise. You need to eat healthy. This takes time and trouble, and you need to take little pain. It's like a vaccination, but it's going to give you fantastic dividends in the long run. Whereas if you are more interested in instant gratification, then you will have to take the pain of regret later, and the bad consequences of a bad diet. So people ask me, "Doctor, how can I give up my sweets? How can I give up my dessert? How can I give up my rice? How can I give up my chapati?" I tell them, is the dessert, the rice, the chapati more important than your leg? Because amputation, one of the commonest causes for amputation is diabetes. You know that. Blindness, amputation, heart attack, dialysis, all these are there. Once, because it's far away, don't think that you'll not get it. If you are a diabetic, the chances of you getting are very, very high. That's why they say if you're a diabetic, the chance of you getting Alzheimer's is 400%, four times more than a normal person. So this is a time you have to choose. You have a choice. And that's, I said, 100 years back, Edison said that, but thousands, 2,500 years back, the father of medicine, Hippocrates, said this: let food be thy medicine, or else medicine will become your food. That's exactly what stages we are in. That stage I was there, taking more than 12 tablets every day, which is more than a food. Morning, 3, 4, evening, 5, 6. And I'm sure most of the people are in this stage. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. I've just put forth what I'm passionate about, what I follow. Happy to take a few questions if you all have any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was simply power-packed, and we have some excellent, comments here, appreciating the talk. But before that, I think I'll hand over the floor to Sandhya Rao. You can call out the questions. Actually, some questions are already answered by the doctor. Probably, Sandhya, let me add you. Yeah, go ahead, Sandhya.
Thanks, Nigu. Thank you, doctor. And your quote of, blame the butter for what the bread did and blame the salt for what the sugar did, it keeps ringing in my mind all the time whenever I look at anything sweet. So maybe it is helping me keep off the sweet. So Lakshmi Shankar is asking, does grains like wheat and rice fall into the sugar category?
Yes, all the grains, including rice, wheat, your jola and ragi and millet, all of them are grains. And once digested, it goes into your blood as glucose. So I wear what's called a constant glucose monitor. And anytime I eat anything, they say banana is good and you can have. If I eat a banana, my blood sugar will double. It goes up by more than 100, 120 points. So any of these things, if you are a diabetic, definitely you need to avoid. And now we have got good alternatives for these grains. Non-grain atta you get, and you can make chapati, and you can make broccoli rice. You can make, and now that's what I keep saying, that if you're out to beat a dog, you'll surely find a stick. But the whole problem is, because it is not immediate problem. It's like, the total number of people who died because of COVID is about 6.5 million people. 2 years of COVID, and all over the world. But I don't know how many of you all know, in 1 year itself, diabetes directly or indirectly kills more than 10 million people. And the world is not bothered because it is slow poison. Anything that is short, acute, what did they do for COVID? They shut down the whole world. Actually, we need to shut down the whole world now, right now, for diabetes, and tell you, do something about it. But nobody is bothered because it is slow poison. People are dying slowly. So that is the problem.
So my understanding that whether it is wheat or rice, all of them are equally bad. Is that correct?
Yes, but provided that you are a diabetic, you're overweight and you want to reverse it. But if you're hale and healthy, definitely you should get rid of sugar. But reduce the amount of these grains to some extent. You may feel that you're healthy, but according to our statistics, what I mentioned, that almost each one of us is in the pre-diabetic stage or pre-diabetic stage. That's what I keep telling. If you are a diabetic, if you are a pre-diabetic, if you have got a family history of diabetes, or if you do not want to become a diabetic, get sugar out of your life.
Thank you. So Sona Chabria is asking, are dry fruits okay? You've already answered that question.
Yeah, I mentioned, when I say nuts, some people, club nuts and fruits together, dry fruits especially. No, dry fruits are very sweet. The sugar bombs, sugar is added there. So have nuts when you want to snack. You can have plenty of that. That's not an issue, but not fruits, dry fruits.
So when you say nuts, you mean walnuts, peanuts?
Yeah, almonds and walnut and Brazil nut and pista and these nuts. Be a little light on cashew nut and groundnut. It has a little more carbohydrate than the rest, but you can have some, not an issue. But not too much. Sometimes it's okay. Doctor said nuts. Let's have a handful, or sometimes it's difficult to stop when you start eating nuts. So be a little careful. But as a snack, it's better than biscuits and bakery products.
So Varsha again says, do you mean stop sugar means added sugar, as fresh fruits also have sugar?
See, added. So this is what I want to explain. See, sugar, that's a table sugar. It's just not, we all think that it's just glucose. Okay, no, it is 50% glucose and 50% fructose. And one thing must be made very clear. Glucose is something which can be metabolized by every cell of the body. But it's the fructose that cannot be. Fructose can only be metabolized by the liver, like alcohol. Fructose and alcohol are equal. And in fruit, the word fruit itself has fructose in it. So when you drink, I told you, fruit juice, excess of fructose, lands up in your liver. And also when you eat a lot of these candies and ice creams and desserts and pudding, you are taking half of that as fructose. And the liver can't handle so much. So liver becomes sick, liver becomes fatty. Once the liver becomes sick, all the other diseases follow. So this table sugar has 50% fructose. That's why I say avoid it. And even fruits, it has a lot of fructose. Never drink your fruit. Never give children, fruit juice in the morning, which we so often give. We all do it.
Are there any fruits that you would recommend?
Yeah, if you really must have berries, strawberries, a few strawberries, blueberries. Berries have very, very low amount of sugar in it. And avocado. Avocado is a fruit, butterfruit. I told you it's a miracle fruit. Eat as much as you can, because it fills you up. There's a lot of satiation after you eat it. Very healthy fats you get there.
So I think Lakshmi Shankar is willing to take up your 30-day challenge. She says,
Yes.
Can we have the list of items which come under sugar category for the 30-day challenge?
Sugar is very simple. When I say 30-day challenge for sugar, it's sugar, sweets, the added sugar, the pudding, the dessert, the cakes, the candies, including bakery biscuits and bakery products. I'm not talking about the grains. If you can give up, reduce grains, that is for people who want to reverse your diabetes and BP or overweight or, infertility and PCOS and all those other diseases that I mentioned. That is one step further. But first step, I think everybody must try this 30-day challenge and see what happens. You can measure them all at home itself. I told you, you can weigh yourself, you can measure your waist, your BP can be checked at home, your sugar can be done. And if you're worried about your cholesterol, just have it checked. Just by giving up sugar, just see what happens. And see how much you can reduce the amount of candies and sweets for children. That's what's worrying us, because they are all suffering now. And if this trend continues, for the first time in human history, the younger generation will have a shorter lifespan than the present generation. Fortunately, maybe when we were also young, we never were exposed to so much of sugar. Children today are exposed and given so much of sugar. Advertisement and at home and ice cream and party and birthdays. It is there every day. And we think it's okay. Children love it. 1 scoop, 2 scoops, 3 scoops. No, having said all this, my wife still encourages my grandson to have it. They think it's a form of love. I tell them, you're killing him. She's not very happy to listen to. That's
So,
how
doctor, sorry, go ahead.
sweets are seen by our society. We love. That's why I tell them, never love anybody through the stomach. Yes.
So since you mentioned cholesterol when you were talking about it now, but we also saw a slide which said that the cholesterol is not of concern.
Yes.
So why should we be worried about cholesterol when we look at our diet?
No, cholesterol per se. I mean, as a general, the whole problem was what they did was they blamed saturated fats for the increase of bad. There are cholesterols are divided, good and bad actually. Triglycerides are supposed to be the bad ones. And that they say, we thought, because we eat a lot of fats and saturated fat, that goes up. That is not true. That's not true. So we know that it is the sugars that drive these cholesterols. So you reduce your sugars and your grains, your triglycerides will come down. I told you, I'm eating 3 times more fat, saturated fats, egg with the yellow. And you have seen how the triglycerides have come down.
Thank you. Patti says, is brown sugar also counted as poison?
Yes, sugar is sugar. Whether it's brown, white, or black. Definitely white is worse than white is trash. White rice, white bread. That's worse because it's all refined sugars. It just goes into the blood as though you've injected something there. But brown, maybe it takes a little time, but it still goes to the blood as glucose. So sugar is sugar. So when I say sugar, take the 30-day challenge, includes brown sugar and jaggery and honey and bakery products.
So there's one doctor who says, what about desi khand? Is it okay to eat? I don't know what really that is, but.
What is that? I don't know. If it's made of natural fats, okay, and without sugars. See, the whole problem is sweet, what we eat. It's all refined. One is refined sugar, refined carbs, and refined fats. That's why I said never. One thing I forgot to tell you is that the problem now is that we are outsourcing our kitchen. We are all so busy and it is so convenient, so cheap, so tasty, so addicting. And so everybody says, let's Swiggy it, let's get some food home. But unfortunately, it's been shown that a poor woman who cooks at home is healthier than a rich woman who regularly eats food from outside, even if it's from a 5-star hotel, because that food has everything bad everything refined. They want to make it tasty. They're not that they are ill. They are wanting to hurt you or make you sick. But they are interested in the bottom line. They want their food to taste good. They want to, you to come back again, eat more of it. That's the nature of industry.
So Arun says, what about sugar-free? I think he means substitutes.
Yes, the sugar-free substitutes are okay, provided they are natural. It's difficult for me to have coffee or tea, without sugar. I use what's called stevia. Stevia sweetener, it comes from stevia leaves. It's better to avoid these chemical ones, but don't go overboard. Regularly having sweets made of that and too much of that is not good. But occasionally, if you must, you could use natural sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit.
There's a question that says, what about yogurt?
Yogurt is fine, but we are telling just the opposite of what we have been told. No skimmed milk, have full fat milk, but not sweetened yogurt. The whole problem is most of the yogurt that's in the market, they want to make it more tasty. It's all artificial, sweetened with sugar. Have full fat yogurt, natural yogurt, not sweetened ones.
You have touched on this briefly, but I think this question you might want to answer. Can we take millets in any form, like kodo millet, foxtail, barnyard, etc.?
Millet definitely has got a little lower glycemic index than rice and other things, but millet is also a grain. And if you are a bad diabetic, you want to reverse diabetes, you want to get rid of your tablets, better to avoid millets also, because it is a grain, including ragi. People think ragi, oh, I am having very good diet, I'm looking after. What do you have? I have ragi ball. No, ragi is also lands up there as sugar in your blood. If you are hale and healthy, definitely you can have some amount. I'm not saying everybody must go off. I'm saying people who have diabetes and who want to reverse their diabetes, get rid of the tablet, need to get rid of these grains.
Kaushilal's question about jaggery has been answered. Again, Lakshmi Shankar says, how about people who are already low weight and are having problems of high blood sugar issues? So,
Yeah, I think I mentioned there are a lot, 40% of the people who are normal weight or low weight are metabolically sick. That means they have internal fat. Fat that is not seen is more dangerous than fat that is seen. The inside fat, the visceral fat. That's why people who are normal weight or lower weight, you sometimes they have high BP, they have very high bad cholesterol, and they have heart issues, they have diabetes. So no problem. This diet is not going to, take away you will not disappear. No, I'm already lower weight. If I start eating this, will I disappear? No. Body knows, when to stop and what to do. And luckily what happens when you start this diet, the first amount of fat, it's been proven scientifically, that is taken away with body is not the external fat, but the fat, internal fat, the visceral fat, the dangerous fat, the killer fat. So even if you're thin and if you have got this, internal fat, it will reduce this. So it is very necessary to have this diet, even if you're thin or, normal weight.
Sudhir is saying he'd like your feedback on carrots, apples, almonds, upma, and oats.
Well, in this almonds, one thing is the only thing that I can recommend. Upma again is refined grains. Anything that is refined should be avoided. Even if you're having some amount of grain, you're healthy. All these refined ones, the more the refined a grain is, more dangerous it is. But it becomes very tasty. So people use that most, and in hotels and industry, they use refined grains because it adds taste. Immediately it gives you a kick. It goes into the blood immediately as sugar. So all the other things, if you are a diabetic, if you want to reduce your sugars and BP and other things, you need to avoid. Almonds is okay, it's a nut.
Oats, Sandhya.
Sorry?
Oats.
Oats also not processed.
Oats and breakfast cereals, they're filled with carbohydrates. Your sugars will raise. If you are intolerant to, if you are carbohydrates, that means if you are a pre-diabetic or a diabetic, better to avoid.
So Sukanya is asking, what do you do when too much fiber makes one feel bloated? And what to do when one is ill? Like if you have a stomach upset, eating so much of fiber, vegetables, how do you manage that?
See, the whole problem is we really can't blame the vegetables for the stomach upset. There could be so many reasons why your stomach is. For that, if there is some pathology there, you may have to see a doctor and get it done. But I don't think vegetables per se, if it's healthy and done well, is going to give you bloating. Actually, they say if you have constipation, have more fibers. And vegetable has the most amount of fiber. So
no, if you have stomach upset because of something else, and hence you cannot continue with a fiber diet, then what should one do?
Yeah, temporarily, if you can't tolerate these fibers, you stop it for a few days.
Okay.
Stop for a few days, have other things. What is that? I mean, it's not, nothing will happen if you stop your fibers for 2-3 days till your stomach is okay.
Okay.
I really don't think these fibers give so much of problem. I take a lot of it. Yeah.
Okay, one doctor says during parties and festivals, how to stay without sweets.
No, that's what I said. No, you have to weigh the sweets. That's why I said sweets, your desserts and your rotis and chapatis against what will happen. Is it worth your leg? Is it worth your eyes? Worth your kidneys? Because it's a slow poison. It's not going to happen tomorrow. If you say, as you say, if you have an upset the very next day, you'll stop eating it. But it's going to show up after 10, 15 years. That's what I said. No, you want short-term gain, but don't mind taking long-term pain. You have to choose between regret, pain now, and gain, happiness later, or pain, gain now, short-term gain, and long-term pain. You have to choose. Instant gratification is what we have all fallen for. That we need to avoid. We know that it's not good. And we know certain things like, bad habits and not exercising, they all, give you a little kick for the moment. But, in the long term, they all give you pain. It's like a vaccination. You need to take a small injection. It's going to hurt you that moment. But you give year-long protection is there. So also this. And you will have to make up your mind. It's a behavioral point. It's very easy for me to say, because I am so very convinced and I've seen so much of results and, I feel so passionate about it. I'm able to follow. But the same thing I keep telling some people at home and some, because they don't take it so seriously. You have to keep on thinking, is it worth? Is it worth? Is it? Try it. If it works, you feel elated, then spread the good word. That's what it is, as simple as that. I really, my dream is to start a movement that if one person recovers, he should treat 100 people. So he should multiply. And my ultimate dream is that I like to see a diabetic-free world in my lifetime. And y'all all must join hands for that.
Thank you. Radha's question about avocado has been answered. Can we have vegetable juices without sugar?
Yes, it's vegetable juice as such. Don't throw away the fiber. What they call, they make the smoothie, no?
Smoothie.
They use the fiber. They don't throw out anything there. That is okay. The fiber must be taken. That's the best part of a vegetable and a fruit, actually. That's why I said never drink your fruit. Don't throw away that. You can make vegetable smoothie because it has very low carbohydrate. It does not have much this thing. And without sugar, no problem. We can share with you where Dr. Krishnappa and his wife all got together and made a fantastic recipe book. We will he'll share with you that online. The soft copy. We'd like to give it free to everybody. Anybody is interested in your group and link who want it, please just get in touch with Krishnappa and he'll share how to make this for vegetarians, non-vegetarians, how to make the smoothies. All these things are there. The worst part, people, it must be tasty, it must be sustainable. That's the best part of it. This shouldn't be like a diet. Okay, how long I must follow this? No, it's a lifestyle. It's just like this. You have made food as medicine. Say you're taking medicines for all these diseases, and suddenly you give up a medicine, they'll become worse. So now you have made food as medicine. All the regular medicines have gone. You stop, go back to your bad habits, and all the bad diseases will come back. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. Dr. Shetty has responded about the kind of types of vegetables that we can eat. So I guess that answers your question.
Anything above ground vegetables, leafy greens, even below ground, excepting potatoes and sweet potatoes, you can eat in moderation, carrots and other things, but no potatoes because very starchy. There's a lot of sugar in that. So avoid that. Other than that, it's fine. But make it very tasty. Use fat. I told you, big fat ball. Stir fry. Use it there. So because we are going to run my body, I'm happy to say that my body is running on fat now, not on sugar. So it's like a hybrid. You have a car which runs on diesel and electricity. You know that electricity is a better fuel and more efficient and clean and all that. So also fat burning is much, much more efficient, clean, causes less inflammation, less oxidative stress, and every part, including your brain, can this thing. Actually, even today, one of the treatment for epilepsy, there is ketones. And when a child is born, because the brain needs so much of energy, it's in ketosis. That means it has a lot of ketones in the body. And so ketones are fantastic fuel. And the whole problem is, it was meant, these things are not just there for, just by accident. Seeing human history, we never had this kind of food around the year, all the time. They never had fridge. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of years. They used to hunt or get some of this thing, and once in a way, they used to get a meal. Then they have to go without food for maybe 2-3 days. So then whatever it has stored, it can use again. So some of the things, even now, animals that hibernate, they eat during summer, they gain almost twice their weight, but they can, just sleep away during the winter without food for months together, because they're using their own fat as energy at that time.
So while traveling, how to avoid sugar and grains?
While
traveling?
While traveling. You need to plan a little, actually. It's not very difficult. You need to plan a little. If you are a non-vegetarian, it's not difficult at all. You could eat egg and fish and meat and all that because it has no carbs. And the whole problem is, how do I get my rice and chapati? It's difficult. You will not get it there. So you just depend on vegetables. I told you, vegetables you will get everywhere. Eat more of that. maybe a non-vegetarians and dal and sprouts and all those you can add. And so you have to prepare, you have to plan and carry some nuts with you when you're hungry, so you don't have to eat biscuits and other things. So that's how it is done. You'll have to plan it, because it is, see, the whole problem is it all depends on what is the priority you're given. I feel that health is priority number one, even above your profession. That's why they say, no, if you have health, you have hundreds of dreams. If you don't have health, you have only one dream, to get back your health. So no health. Health is the biggest wealth we possess. And no, unfortunately, in search of wealth, we lose our health. And after gaining so much of wealth, we are not able to regain, buy our health. It's not possible to buy it with money.
Sona Chabria, she says, so no fruits at all. I think you've already mentioned the fruits that can be eaten.
Yeah, if you are hale and healthy, you can have one or two fruits occasionally. But if you are trying to reverse diabetes, it's got too much of sugar in it and fructose. So better to avoid those regular fruits, because we all club vegetables and fruits, put it in one single basket and treat it like a holy cow. No, you must have fruits. You must have fruits. No, it's not necessary. And if you are sick, definitely better to avoid most of the food. And definitely don't make juice out of it. Most of us have fruit juice for breakfast, and give our children that. That needs to be avoided. And I told you why.
Thank you. Savita Guruprasad says, please share your views on time-restricted feeding along with reduced sugar.
Yeah, fantastic. See, reduce sugar, there's no doubt, reduce sugar will be fantastic if you can reduce it or eliminate sugar itself from your life. That would be great, because sugar is a non-essential nutrient. There is no essential carbohydrates or sugars. You have essential fats, you have essential proteins, you have essential minerals and vitamins, but there are no essential sweets or carbohydrates. So it's not essential for life. Whatever amount of sugar you require, the body can manufacture itself. Essential means something that body cannot manufacture, and you need to take it from outside. So that's one thing. Next is that, what should you say about fruits?
Time-restricted
feeding. Yes. Time-restricted eating. It's a fantastic way. Actually, we are constantly eating all the time. The body hardly has any time to heal itself, repair, and rejuvenate. So if you can give it that time. So especially what I do is I have an early dinner of the bowl of a salad at around 6 o'clock. I have that, so that when I have my breakfast at 8, I've given the body almost 14 hours of rest. So it could do its own repair and healing. And the fasting is an age-old tradition in every religion. Every religion. Because they knew that fasting is very good for health. Now, scientifically, it's been proved. So if you can give this body this, at least if you can't fast for 1 day, 2 days and all that at a go, at least time-restricted eating, as she has rightly mentioned. Or if you can skip the breakfast and go directly for lunch, that's also great. So you give a window of 14, 16, 18 hours. If you can give a window of eating and then a window of non-eating, that would be great. And you'll see fantastic results.
Thank you. Is amla juice good? Amla good or amla juice
amla
good?
is okay. Amla is not a sugary thing. It's not too bad. But you should not be adding any sugar to that. And it's a smoothie you make. I mean, I don't want anybody to throw away the fiber away. I want you to have it with the fiber.
Prasanna says, are eggs good? How many per day, or how frequently can we have
eggs? Yes,
eggs.
I have 3 to 4 every day. I think even 4 to 5 a day is not harmful. People, get worried when we say have 1 egg a day, and what do I do with the yellow? With the yellow, 1 or 2 is too much. No, recent science has shown that you could have easily 3 to 4 eggs every day if you like it, in whatever form you want. You can make it omelette, scrambled, boiled, carry it with you wherever you go. It's very easy and so filling. Say you get satisfied after eating a few eggs, and you don't feel hungry for a long time. Big advantage. And eggs are nature's perfectly packaged food. Actually, it has everything. It has all the essential proteins. It's about one food that has every essential protein in it, especially the yellow. So get out of this fat phobia.
Thank you. So, doctor has clarified, Desi Khand is unrefined sugar with low GI. And the question is, with starch removed rice, blood sugar doesn't go up. So can it be consumed?
With the starch removed rice, is it?
Yes.
No. They keep saying all these things. What I would like to say, if you can experiment, of course, it depends on the person. If you are hale and healthy, whatever you eat, your blood sugar will not go about 100, 110. It will not go. But then if you are on the borderline or pre-diabetic or already a diabetic, definitely you will have, see, just testing a blood sugar once in a way, this finger stick method has no meaning at all. Even if actually a 3 months average HbA1c is much more meaningful. Even that does not tell you the whole picture. So if you really want to test any food, they say call it low glycemic, they say boil it and keep it in the fridge and eat it the next day morning is better. But that all depends on how much glucose tolerance you have. It varies from individual to individual. And the only way you can test it is by wearing this, what is called a constant glucose monitor, which measures the glucose every 15 minutes. So you eat that, keep monitoring after an hour and a half, see what happens to your sugar, what was the sugar before that and after that, and you will know whether you can tolerate it or not. Not that everybody tolerates food in the same way. But only thing, after you become intolerant, like a diabetic, then all these things will matter a lot.
Savita wants to know, how about kombucha?
Kombucha, I don't know if it's a grain, not very good. But some of the grains, like as you say, millets and all that, if you are hale and healthy, definitely you could have. You test it yourself, eat it, find out the sugar after an hour, this thing. But youngsters and who are hale and healthy is okay. Any of these things, including your brown rice and chapati. But you can cut down the amount. When you eat a lot of these vegetables, say if you're having 3 chapatis, have 1 or 2. If you're having a big bowl of rice, reduce it by half. And sugars, if you cut down, that itself is a very big step.
Thank you. Can salads have beetroots and carrots?
Yeah, to some amount you can. You do not get worried too much about this. All those are okay. Now, they're not very starchy like potatoes and sweet potatoes.
And what should be our staple food? Ate Halli Puttraju is asking.
Staple food depends on your present metabolic status. If you are young, hale and healthy, you could have your regular food, whatever you're eating. But definitely no sugar. Sugars you should have. So that's what I went after sugars, the first thing in my talk. Because there is no doubt that we could all be pre-diabetic or pre-diabetic or having that family history of diabetes. So we are prone for it. That's what I said that because if you have a family history of diabetes, you must be all the more careful because you have more chance of getting into all these problems. So you need to be careful right from day one to avoid. So if you go haywire and keep eating whatever you want, and then you get diabetes when you are in their 30s, and then say, no, that's because of my parents, I don't think it's fair to blame them. I told you, genes only load the gun. It's our lifestyle that pulls the trigger.
We've already answered Umesh's question about honey and potato. Many people are asking about the recipe book. I will download it and share it here.
And then you can pass it on.
Professor Krishnappa has already shared it with me.
Yes. Just share it with them. He's been graceful enough to write that book, and I said we'll give it free online. We'll not just be free. We want to spread the good word. We want more and more people. We are interested in their health.
Yes. Varsha is asking, what about having tea while intermittent fasting? Tea without sugar, meaning lunch at 2 and tea at 4 and next morning tea at 5:45 a.m. Will that work?
It's okay. I mean, tea without sugar, they say it's fine. I mean, if there is not much sugar in that, there's hardly any calories there. See, I don't think we can be very, very strict with these things. But the basic things to avoid. Sugar and, if you're metabolically ill, the grains, the chapati, the rice, the dosa and idli and all those things. People, idli is a very healthy diet, but unfortunately not, because we think because no oil has been used there. But it's not the oil that is, as I said, it's a grain, and there you have refined grain. It's all whiter the better the idli, they say. Whiter the idli, more refined it is. So these are things that what you need to avoid.
I think we'll,
Coconut, you can have plenty. There, one thing I must say, coconut is another fruit that you can have plenty of it. It's a very fantastic fruit, I mean nut, and very tasty. You can make all your dishes. You can eat coconut as it is and add it to all your gravies and make milk out of it and add it. It gives fantastic taste. So you can be very liberal with coconuts. Did not fear. Now people, they say, coconut in the West, people are drinking coconut oil.
Do you have some more time to answer questions? About 10 minutes?
We're almost at 6 now.
Yes,
if you have some relevant questions, yes.
One, the Anusuya says, I would like to know if dal and legumes like chickpeas, rajma, etc. fall under the category of high sugar food.
They are not very high sugar food, especially vegetarians, they hardly have a choice, much choice. They could have some amount. Not too much, but definitely they can have some amount of these things.
Okay. Mallika says, I tried intermittent fasting but get headache. Can I have coffee without sugar?
No problem. Let her have. No, nothing will happen. If that gives us some relief, I don't think you need to be so very strict. So you can have milk and milk products. No problem.
Okay. So I think just one last question and then I'll hand it over back to Meghu. Kokila says, can regular practice of yoga and meditation help stabilize blood sugar?
One thing I must tell you, madam, you can never outrun a bad diet, whatever you do. If your diet is bad, medicine or yoga or whatever is of no use. If your diet is right, medicine is of no need. But yoga is good, definitely. Yoga is a form of exercise. It relaxes, it exercises your muscles. Definitely, I do yoga in the morning. I mean, moderate exercise is sufficient. You don't have to do eat all what you want and keep running the whole day. It's not going to help. Just eat the right stuff and do moderate exercise for about half an hour to 40 minutes, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, more than enough. And if you're able to do some yoga and meditation, they help. See, stress is another cause for all these problems. If you can get your stress under control, it'll be very good. But then, see, the easiest thing is to get your diet. If I say reduce your stress, it's not going to be that easy. So in that, easiest is to get rid of sugar. That's why I said, let's get at the low-hanging fruits. That's why I went hammer and tongs against your sugar.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you are sick and you want to take the next step, there you are. But yoga and exercise, they're fantastic. I do it. I do it every day.
Thank you so much, doctor. There are a lot of complimentary messages here. Thanking you for the session. What I would say is people could
Sandhya,
fix an appointment.
One question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Meghu?
ma'am.
Sandhya, you can share doctor's contact information here in the chat box so that people can, communicate with him directly. One last question which came directly to me, doctor, which is fatty liver. Will this be reduced once this sugar is reversed? I mean, you stop taking sugar. Will fatty liver be reversed?
Yes, in my case, it has. I have not had a spoon of sugar for the last maybe a year and a half. And I have shown you my readings, and fatty liver has reduced. So the whole thing is this body is an incredibly intelligent machine. So that's why I keep telling, I have abused this body for almost 65 years. And within 65 days of stopping this abuse, it started healing itself from within. Every single organ. Maybe I'm not able to measure things, including my kidneys and liver. So that's what they say, if only you can stop abusing it morning, noon, and night, it will start healing. It can heal itself, provided you stop abusing the body with the wrong food.
Thank you, doctor.
And excess of sugars. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have Pati. Pati, a quick question because we are really, really late. You just raised your hand. You can ask your question. Please unmute yourself. Pati?
Thank you so much, and it's really excellent, very good eye opener. And my last and short question to you: what was your previous diet habits, and what is your current bit-to-bit diet routine? What you are following, doctor? Thank you.
Yeah, previous I was like any other person eating a lot of, although I was a diabetic and a doctor and knowing that sugar I'm not supposed to eat, but occasionally means at least, 2 to 3 times whenever we go out and celebration, cakes and some ice creams I used to have. And I used to have a lot of grains because I didn't know these grains were doing so much of damage. That's why it went downhill. I'm a non-vegetarian. Of course, I used to eat a lot of meat and other things, but no, not too much of eggs because I had that fat fear myself. So maybe I used to eat 1 egg a day maximum because, I was trying to, follow the official diet. All right. But now, as I said, no, it is very simple. Morning, my breakfast consists of 1 big fat bowl of stir-fried vegetables along with 3 eggs in scrambled egg or whatever, omelette and all. Then for lunch, I have again 2 or 3 what's called chapati made from coconut flour. Use ghee and other things, make it very tasty. And I'm a non-vegetarian. I have fish, fatty fish like salmon and mackerel and these things. Fish we can eat, or chicken. These are the things that I have. And in the evening for snacks, I have nuts, and sometimes I have what's called a bulletproof coffee. Coffee with a lot of MCT oil and all that. It keeps you full the whole day. And by the evening, I just have 1 bowl of salad with a lot of olive oil and avocado and nuts and curds. That's my routine now.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Pati, for
Thank
that
you so
question.
much, Doctor.
And I would call upon Jay Srinivasan, co-founder RedMed, to give his closing comments.
Thank you, Meghu. Dr. Shetty, this has been a phenomenal webinar. Sandhya and I have been meeting you for quite a long time now, and we have enjoyed our visitations and our conversations with you every single time, especially the extraordinary quotes you come up with. And today we have been treated to a round of quotes that I hope somebody has been able to write down, because these are really, really good. Today's webinar has been true to form, except that we have had a much larger audience. I should also point out, Doctor, that you will be quite happy to know we have been having these webinars now for almost 3 years, and today's webinar probably is in the top 3 in terms of the attendance. We have had an average of 90, I noticed, at the midway point. So I think a lot of people are quite interested and curious to know about this very hot topic, very important topic. And in the spirit of what you said, Doctor, this is a movement, and each of us should tell at least 100 people. What I would like to share with the audience here today is that Sandhya and I have actually turned 180 degrees in terms of our vegetarian diet. It is now approximately 70% vegetables, 60% vegetables, 30% fat of all kinds, and dal and things like that, the proteins. And we have still not quite gotten rid of the brown rice. We are trying hard, but that is there, a little bit of it. But what we have found, and thanks to Professor Krishnappa and your team who have articulated this with those wonderful recipes, and we have followed them and added our own creativity to the mix. We have this very large bowl of breakfast vegetables with a lot of paneer, a lot of butter. We have had mozzarella, cheese, and things like that. It's actually phenomenal. And Sandhya and I all often look at each other and ask ourselves, why didn't we discover this earlier? We had the traditional diet. Our lunch is, as I said, a lot of veggies, a lot of dal, and sambar and rasam and things like that. A little bit of rice, which we, going forward, we hope to eliminate in some fashion. And dinner again is we use acceptable flour mixed with a lot of avocado, which makes it really, really soft. So I would encourage people to experiment, as Doctor said. There are a lot of very neat ways in which we could experiment and try out things, and they are really, really good. That I can vouch for. You can add in salt. Doctor has not said you cannot add salt. Doctor has not said you cannot add pepper and stuff like that. So there are many different ways in which we can lighten up and make things far better than what we have experienced before. So there, Doctor, I have hopefully created my share of the movement here. I've shared mine.
Great. I'm so happy that
thing.
you're following it. And any of these people who are listening here and they want more information, they can get in touch with our Narayana Nethralaya branch RDC program, Dr. Krishnappa. And if they want, exactly where to get this stuff from and how to follow it, more help, they could get in touch with the RDC team at Narayana Nethralaya next to the ISKCON temple. We'll help them out. We'll be happy to help them. And I'm so happy
Excellent.
that
So there you go, folks.
And it has given results.
Thank you, Doctor. So do contact Narayana Nethralaya. They have a very good team there. Professor Krishnappa has been the leading lights in terms of putting together the nutritional, the diet and the recipes. And he has created version 2 of his book, which is much bigger than the last one, much more enjoyable. So do contact them and get to know about more of these things. Finally, I would like to thank all of those people who have supported us, starting with Megu and our incredible team at LBN Tech. Thank you, Megu. You've been beside us all this while and put together some very good webinars. All Ladies League, which has been our partner as well, that Sandhya and Megu are part of. And to everybody else who have joined us here today, thank you from all of us. And do try out all these things. As doctor said, diabetes is not a simple disease. It's an incredibly complex disease that has its effects, negative effects on a whole host of things, from your heart to your liver, to your lungs, to your kidneys, to your eyes, to your neural networks and things like that. So it's not to be treated trivially, but at the same time, the effects, the negative effects come much later. They come much slower. So unless we take action today, none of these is going to happen. So let's all join hands today to give a round of applause to Dr. Shetty for being here and sharing his wonderful views to us. Thank you, Doctor. Back to you, Megu.
Thank you so much, Jay. That was well put. We should take it to the next level. One person telling 100 other people. That was a wonderful message, Doctor. And this webinar, it will be shared on YouTube. And the recipe book, people have been asking about it. So the recipe book's link will be in the description of that YouTube, which the recording will be, uploaded. So thank you so much, Doctor, for this wonderful session and especially for your valuable time. I know how busy you are. And friends, the next webinar is on laughter therapy. So please tune in on November 26th, last Saturday of next month. And we have Suchitra Kaul Mishra. She's a wonderful person to talk about this topic. She's an expert on this topic. So hope to see you there. And if you want to get part of this broadcast list, please send a message to 9677067571. You can also check out our LBN Tech Solutions Facebook and YouTube channels. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much.